Hello, everybody. This is Jerry Cates, and it is Tuesday. Let's see, I got two things going on here. Our usual broadcast, Empowered Women Live, is now, but instead of hitting you with two doses of me today, I decided to combine this. This is day 16 of my 90-day sprint. So it's a journey, and every day it's an opportunity to notice where I'm going and notice where I am, right? I'm looking at my goal sheet, so my goals are in the forefront of my mind. Anyway, I decided to start this series from the book, The Identity Matrix by Claire Zammit. And this book is one of the books I offer with my coaching program. I represent her flagship course, let's see if I can get it right, the Essential Course for the Awakening Woman. And this kind of stuff is what we learn in there. And the idea is when you can identify these patterns, you can cultivate your gifts and turn it around to something positive. So tonight, we're talking about the number one reason you haven't found your soulmate. And I know that's a bold statement, but it's probably true. So today we're talking about the false identity, I'm not lovable. I'm going to hold that thought for a second. Let me just introduce myself for those of you who are new to the group. My name's Jerry Cates. I'm a transformational life coach and a hypnotherapist. And I do workshops, I do one-on-one coaching, I do one-on-one hypnotherapy. And I'm here to inspire you and empower you. Now let's get back to work. Okay. If you're here, hashtag live. If you're watching the replay, go ahead and put hashtag replay in there, okay? Yeah, let me know you're here. Okay, let's talk about this. I'm not enough. So what are the main indicators? Let me give you some descriptors. Chronic sadness, feeling off track and experiencing a profound sense of emptiness. The I'm not lovable. Self-neglect, failing to care for yourself and for your environment. What goes with that? I'm not lovable, false identity. Unreciprocated giving, being incredibly loving and giving, but not receiving the same in return. Right? There's just not balance there. And this comes up under this I'm not lovable. I just want to make sure I'm in the right place. So here are some of the more of the indicators. Are profoundly sad in a way that feels unreachable and unfixable. Failing to thrive in life. Experiencing a chronic sense of being lost, off track, or off purpose. Are profoundly, I said that one, feel small and insignificant. This is the I'm not lovable false identity. Hey Sierra. So I'm doing the false identity, I'm not lovable. And we just started really. So these are some of the indicators. The main indicators are chronic sadness, feeling off track and experiencing a profound sense of emptiness, self-neglect, failing to care for yourself and your environment, unreciprocated giving, being incredibly loving and giving, but not receiving the same in return. I'm not lovable. This is the one we're unpacking. Let's see, feel small and insignificant. Suffering from pervasive patterns of self-neglect, not even knowing how to care for themselves beyond their basic survival needs. I'm not lovable. Are incredibly loving and giving to others in ways that are not often reciprocated. And I said that before. It goes back to when we were talking about I'm not enough a couple of nights ago. We can't receive in that way. If I'm not enough, I'm too busy overgiving. I'm not into receiving. I don't even know how to receive. And I think the same thing is true for the I'm not lovable false identity. They're not about receiving. They don't feel worthy of it. And then ways of being that generate evidence that validates the identity. It's like waiting for others to invite them rather than generating their own participation. Not asking for what they need or desire, or really even knowing what that is, and hoping instead that others will figure it out. You ever wish somebody else could read your mind? Staying with people who are failing to meet their needs and in situations that do not nurture or support them. So long-term relationships where they're just not happy. I'm not lovable. Creating a rather empty, barren life and failing to participate in those things that make life joyful and colorful. Organizing their life around mere survival rather than flourishing and thriving. So if I'm not lovable, I don't have abundance, right? I don't deserve good things. You see where that goes? Let's shift that. First, I want to tell you a little story. So when I grew up, my mom and I didn't get along, and she was abusive to me. And here I am in the hospital. I'm 23, a little while ago. I'm 23. I've got my baby boy in my arms for the first time, and I'm looking into his face. And it hit me that up until that point, I thought there was something wrong with me because my mom didn't love me. I may not be able to get the love I think I should from where I think, like my mom, but I may not be able to get it there, but I sure can create it here. And that is the beginning of unconditional love in my son's life. And he will tell you, my mom taught me about unconditional love. So I took something where I didn't feel lovable and realized that it wasn't about me, that I do have some control or some power over that. And I didn't have to live the rest of my life, and certainly not with my child, not feeling love. I wanted to experience and create love. So I created it where it was possible, right? Where it was possible. And my mom and my relationship shifted over the years, but we weren't always close. We weren't close, but I'm grateful for the lessons, and I'm certainly grateful for that lesson of realizing, because I hadn't named it up until that point that I was with my baby in that room. You know, it was a feeling. I just didn't feel loved. I didn't feel worthy. This heaviness, this sadness that I felt, and then here it is, this joyous occasion, and that's where it shifted. That's where I had that revelation that I could create it over here, and you can do that too. So let's talk about some ways to transform yourself. Let's back up to the soulmate thing. To find your soulmate, you need to shift from seeking love externally to tapping into a deeper source of love within you. And here's how you can start. Communicate your needs. Now, we talked about this in I'm Invisible, that the I'm Invisible false identity isn't all that good about communicating their needs. So here it comes again, is my point, how important it is to clearly express your needs and desires. And so a lot of us don't even know what our desires are. I have exercises to help you dig deeper into your desires. But clearly express your needs and desires. And when you do, you set the stage for others to meet you where you are. So if I don't say anything and nobody knows where I'm at, versus expressing what I need and what my desire is, now the people around me know. They know where I am. They can meet me there or not. But me being in that place of expecting them to read my mind it's futile. It's not going to get us anywhere. So communicating, really important to start communicating. You know, one of the things, and I said this the other night, you can say is, Say your name. You can close your eyes, say your name. What are you feeling? And say it again, your name, and what are you feeling? Jerry, what are you feeling? And then just notice whatever comes up. And acknowledge whatever comes up. And you can also do that with, what do you need? What do you need? Because we often, somebody asks you, what do you need? What do you say? A lot of times, oh, I don't need anything. Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do. And it's about identifying it. The next one is self-nurture, and these are ways to transform this. I'm not lovable, right? Create structures in your life to support your talents and skills. This might mean setting aside time for hobbies, self-care, and professional development. So on my sprint paper, my sprint sheet is a document with all my goals on it. Actually, it's 4 pages long because I have affirmations on there. And I look at it every day. And my self-nurturing's on there to remind me, let's see, what was my point? I wanted to tell you something. Set aside time. For hobbies. So I had put to play my guitar, at least, play my guitar. I don't even think it was in the other, I have all these categories, and it was in the other category, but it was play your guitar along with, some other things I got to take care of that I see every day. And so I've actually been playing my guitar, and I haven't played my guitar on the 30th. It would have been 2 years. And it was the night before my dad passed away, and I just hadn't felt like picking it up. And even just a week into it, now I leave it out so I could just pick it up. So that's a way of self-nurturing yourself. Those things you enjoy, making sure those are part of your day. Because some of us, we get up and we hit the ground running and never slow down. And there's never any time for you. You got to have time for you. For self-love to happen, you got to have time for you. That's part of the point, right? And then embrace self-love. Recognize and affirm the qualities that make you lovable. Mirror back to yourself all the things that are wonderful about you. You can, I love the mirror work. I'm a proponent of the mirror work, where you look into the mirror and you say, I love myself unconditionally, or I like myself unconditionally. I even have some affirmations I'll say in the mirror. Looking in the mirror and connecting with yourself can be really powerful for raising your self-worth, your vibration. Hey, Dora. Welcome. Let's see. Here we go. Leave unfulfilling relationships. You can start with the friendships that are not fulfilling and that drain you. I had a friendship that every time I was on the phone, I walked away feeling really drained. And by not setting up that boundary, some kind of boundary, because I walked away feeling drained frequently. It wasn't all the time, but frequently. What ended up happening at the end of that relationship was, because there were poor boundaries, this person took it upon herself to tell me how to live my life. So that was the end of that. She couldn't see that there was an issue with that. That doesn't work. But I set that up by allowing that to go on. I realized it after I shut it down. But I said, no, absolutely not. I'm not going to engage in a relationship like this. But what I'm saying is, those unfulfilling relationships, you can do things to shift them, like how you show up in them. Because people treat you the way they treat you because you taught them that. You let them get away with it, or you taught them that by behavior. So if you want to change the way they treat you, show up differently, set up different boundaries. They're not going to like it at first. They might go kicking and screaming, but hold your ground. Hold your ground. And I like to say, when you're setting those boundaries, give as little information as possible. Don't make excuses. It'll just get used as ammunition against you. Things like somebody wants you to do something and you really just don't feel inspired to do it. It's something you've done out of feeling guilty or overcommitting in the past. So now you're deciding that you're going to start setting boundaries, and you're not going to say yes to everything everybody wants. And so if you can't say no right there in the moment, tell them, I'll get back to you on that, or let me get back to you on that. And then you go practice in the mirror saying no. No, that doesn't work for me. Or period. Period. Not no, I got to go do this, or no, I got to do that, because that just opens you up for, that's ammunition they can use against you. And it's nothing against them. They're going through something there. They're used to you. They're used to getting their way with you. And now you're changing it. So back to my point though, people treat us the way we teach them to treat us, by either how we act or allowing them to get away with things that are not okay. Receive love. And let me back up. Let's see. Have the courage to leave relationships that no longer support your well-being. This opens up space for connections that truly nurture you. How about that? It's like, imagine it's a big vacuum, so there's this space there, and if you get rid of this emotional clutter of this unfulfilling relationship, maybe it's a stressful relationship, a disrespectful relationship, but you get rid of this stress and clutter, and it's like a vacuum. The universe draws something new in. It's like you want money to flow in your life. Look around and see where you can release the clutter and get the circulation going. What can I let go of to make room for this? Of course, do whatever money thing you're doing, but it's about the abundance. It creates a vacuum. A lot of this is from Catherine Ponder's The Dynamic Laws of Prosperity. Very good book. Okay, but we're back on how to transform it. So, leaving unfulfilled relationships, receive love. Practice accepting love and appreciation from others. This might be challenging at first. How are you about taking compliments? Right? How are you? Do you deflect it? Just when somebody says something nice to you, do you feel uncomfortable? So I want to invite you to just open up and receive the compliment and just say thank you. If you can't say, say thank you and just be in that space of receiving the compliment. Here's another thing. Here's a trick. When you're doing something that really feels good, like say maybe you're getting a massage. It happened with me one day. I went to the nail store, and these two little ladies, they are speaking in an Asian language, I don't know, but one of them knows I'm a good tipper if you do a good massage. So she tells the other one. And that lady just kept slathering that oil on my legs, and I knew what was going on, and I tipped her well, you bet. And she sees me coming, and she takes really good care of me. But I laid there or sat there in that chair and really stepped into a space of receiving abundance. I used it as a practice, and sometimes because it's so counterintuitive, because we're not used to it, but we want it, right? We want to receive love and abundance and nurturing. Practicing it is a powerful tool, just like receiving love, just like receiving, even receiving money, seeing the flow come to you, opening things up. But receiving love, so practicing accepting love and appreciation from others. So not deflecting their compliments or the nice things they say, accepting it and appreciating it. You can even say, I appreciate that so much, thank you, right? Okay. So, can you see, put a yes in the chat, if you can see, if I'm not lovable, if I don't think I'm lovable, am I going to go have healthy relationships with a man? Can you see that if I'm not lovable, if I don't feel lovable, how am I going to let him love me? How am I going to meet a soulmate or even know he's there if I'm so busy not loving myself? Because I set the standard, right, for everything else. So that's really the key. If we're not in relationships, the fulfilling relationships, the relationships that meet us on many levels, if we're not in those relationships, the invitation is to take a look at yourself and see where you are on the I'm not lovable. You know, is that something that you feel? You know, that, and then that, like I said, those indicators, that sadness, not being able to receive, what else is on there? Chronic sense of being lost, off track, and off purpose. We need each other. We need each other. And probably a deep longing for love, right? This deep longing, this unmet need. So let's step into the deeper truth statement. I am deeply loved by all of life, and my very existence pleases the universe. I now take my rightful place in the community as a beloved and embraced member of the tribe. Let's see if I have another one over here. No, it's shorter. Let's see. I'll give you a little example. So there's this lady, and she needed to be perfect to be loved. Got to be perfect, right? She constantly sought validation through her partners, only to end up feeling more alone, right? Because she's looking outside herself. And her name is Sarah. Once Sarah started embracing self-love, doing practices, and being aware of self-love, she noticed a shift. And it's that easy. It's that easy. You step into and embrace a new way of being, and you will notice a shift. She began to attract partners who valued her, who she truly was, not just what she could do for them. Right? We don't want a relationship because of what we can do for them. You know, we want to be met on many levels, don't we? Don't you? Want to be loved and appreciated and met on many levels, right? So if you shift your focus from seeking it externally to cultivating it within, you pave the way for attracting your soulmate. By setting healthy boundaries and not settling for the riffraff, right? Or not settling. My coach, Riley Klemenko, she had me do this list, and I'm not done. She told me to do 50, and I got 25. 25, I'm going to say 50, because my list isn't done. But it's a powerful list to do. If you're looking for your soulmate, write down a list of 50 things you got to have. They are non-negotiable, right? And I mean, you got to have. I used to say, 5 gotta haves and 5 deal breakers. Get those deal breakers in there too. What things would you absolutely say no to? I don't smoke. I wouldn't want to be with someone who smokes. And I'm not interested in someone who smokes. Don't even want to start there. Men that ask me for money, they get blocked. It stops, right? And it wasn't always that way. I remember my husband, a husband I had. We started that relationship by me bailing him out of something, and guess what? The whole relationship was a lot of me bailing him out. I set that one up. So if you're not with your soulmate, what scenarios are you setting up that's keeping you held back? And if you want some help with that, spend 45 minutes with me. We will identify, what you want, what's in the way, right, and how to get there. And a lot of times you'll walk away, every time you'll walk away from these, because you do get some coaching. That's the whole point. You'll walk away with insight, and you'll shift and start looking at things differently, and you'll show up differently. That's my intention, that you have a shift in the way you're looking at it, because we have to consider who we're being in the moment. Where am I coming from? We said the other night, if you're asking for the invisible, or is it invisible? The I'm alone. If they tend to ask for things in ways they're whining or complaining. They don't come right out and ask for things. So ask. Be clear about what it is you want and communicate your needs, right? Okay, so you got your homework? 50 things that you want in your soulmate. You know, and I was reading that book, Conscious Men by John Gray. It's for men. And there's a section on women in the back. And I'm reading it because I want to understand men better. And it's a powerful book. It's a powerful book. In fact, I bought it for my son on Father's Day, actually. Let's see, what else? What else? I have a networking event I do on Thursday. So if you're an entrepreneur, come join us. Come polish up your pitch. We'll help you with it. I've got a little formula for it. You know, come connect with other women. We, depending on how many are there, we do breakouts, and you get to meet different women and opportunities to collaborate. It's like our second week. We had 6 last week, and I'm hoping to grow because I think we need connection. I think that COVID really did something to us about social anxiety, or it pulled us out of social spaces so much that even, well, like I had a client who said she had a social anxiety. Actually, she described it. She didn't like being around people. She knew she needed to. She didn't like calling her friends. So she was disconnecting those relationships. And it was an anxiety that actually came out of that constant vigilance, hypervigilance when we had COVID, and it was still lingering a couple of years later. How about that? How about that? Okay, I could talk all night, but I won't. Plus, it's getting hot in this room. So let's just make sure we got the keys. Oh, the key capacities or skills. Gosh, you know, really to cultivate this is to communicate needs and desires, and the ability to self-nurture, creating structures to cultivate your talents and skills. So communicate your needs and desires. If you need some help with that, come talk to me. And the ability to self-nurture, creating structures to cultivate your talents and skills. So what's a structure? A structure is like, I'm going to put it on my calendar to play guitar. Or I've been talking about going out in my kayak. I've got a foldable kayak. I haven't been out in it. I've been folding it, you got to season it because it's plastic. And what I mean is keep folding it in the heat before you take it in the water. Well, it's ready. So I'm going to schedule some time in for that. And maybe I'll shoot a video from there. Yeah. So I'd love to know your key takeaways. I'm not lovable. Can you see how that would show up? How that could block you? Where would somebody get that I'm not lovable? From a caregiver that gave them that idea that they didn't matter and they didn't count. And they internalized it to I'm not lovable. And then it grows up to relationships and significant others. So all kinds of relationships where you're showing up as I'm not lovable. So how do we fix it? It's a quiz. Communicate your needs and desires and the ability to self-nurture, creating structures to cultivate your talents and skills. And self-nurture, okay, so take care of yourself well enough so that you can feed others from your overflow. Because our tendency is to give to others first and then not have any energy left for ourselves. So my invitation to you is to take care of yourself well enough so that you feed others from your overflow. And it's not a selfish thing at all. It's like being on a plane. They tell you to take the oxygen first, even before you give it to your kid. Otherwise, you won't be around to give it to your kid. So kind of look at it that way. Start including your own self-care. If you have some work to do on self-care, if you don't feel lovable, there's some self-care needed. For sure. Some self-care needed. Anyway, type soul in the chat if you're ready for a conversation with me. I'll put the Connect Cafe, which is the networking event, in the first message as soon as this loads up. And yeah, I think that's it. Oh, I think I mentioned Hypno in the notes. So also I have hypnotherapy available. If you are interested in hypnotherapy, type hypno in the chat and we can talk about what that can do for you. You don't have to make a commitment, now, but it is a powerful tool and I love sharing it. Okay. Thanks for hanging with me, Shira and Dorian. I don't think they can see anyone else. Okay. So hashtag replay, hashtag live. That really helps, and it helps it move it up. All right, I'll be back tomorrow. What's tomorrow? I'm not lovable. Because I'm going through 21 of them. And I'm going to tell you. Well, maybe not, because I got this book all tore apart. Yeah, I do. Because I was counting them. I forget. I'll post it. Yep. It's suspense. I'll put it in a colored lock because I don't have it in front of me. Anyway, I'm getting hot and I'm melting. Thank you for listening. Bye now.